Most B2B companies don't have a marketing problem. They have a revenue problem, disguised as marketing. You can generate more leads, run more campaigns, and post more content, and still struggle to grow. Your marketing doesn't fail from lack of activity. It fails from lack of alignment with revenue. If you're running a B2B company and your marketing feels busy, but your revenue isn't moving the way you expected, then this episode is for you. Today we're going to break down why most B2B marketing fails to generate revenue and how companies can start building marketing systems that actually drive growth. Over 90% of people that watch the show aren't actually subscribed, and we release conversations like this every single week. So if you're serious about building predictable revenue in your business, make sure you're subscribed to the podcast. Hi guys, welcome back for episode 56. So let's just get straight into it. So I want to ask you, what do you think the real problem with B2B marketing is?
The way that companies measure marketing success. And we see this all the time where, especially with probably even a lot of smaller companies where the focus is on getting leads. So they tend to measure marketing with the leads that's generated. I think as well they use measurements like traffic growth. There's another one. How many people actually visited our website last month when they're posting on socials. It's usually engagement metrics and things, but those numbers tend not to guarantee revenue growth, and that can be a big problem within B2B companies because they're just not measuring the correct metrics to kick off. And what that actually then brings, marketing things looks at, how many hundreds of leads have we generated this month. But the thing is, those leads tend not to be qualified or ready to buy or even aligned with the company's offer, which is also a big problem because while they're getting what's considered marketing qualified leads or MQLs, and they're passing those over to the sales team to try and convert them to SQLs, they're learning that the leads are just rubbish. So if the company is solely looking at the amount of leads generated, what that does is it then tend to look at what tactics can we do to generate more leads rather than what can we focus on right now to make sure that the leads that we're attracting are better qualified, ready to buy, and 100% aligned with the offer that the company's offering.
Yeah.
And leads themselves are generally easy to measure, because, last month I got 40 leads in, and this month I got 30 leads in. Well, how many leads did you actually convert? But the real thing that we should be talking about, or the company should be thinking about, is what leads generated the revenue. And that's what a lot of the teams tend to avoid.
Because they focus on the amount of leads that come in compared to the conversions and bringing them on as customers, which is an aspect of what we spoke about last week on our podcast with, churn and all that stuff as well.
Yeah, 100%. But I mean, the biggest problem with all of this is most of the companies that do this kind of thing probably haven't actually set up the foundations whereby they've either got a poor audience definition or ICP and buyer personas, and they're just not generating the right clients for their offer. And companies often tend to target then broad audiences. Anyone might be interested in my offer because, I sell tires to commercial vehicles, and anybody with a commercial vehicle can be your customer, which is not true just because you sell tires to commercial companies or whatever it might be, And what that does is it drives low intent prospects instead of focusing on high value buyers. The decision makers certainly within that ICP, ideal customer persona, which is generally an account or a business that they're trying to target, and companies that actually fit the solution rather than just every company out there.
But you see, this is also a problem with like lead generation companies or marketing companies, because obviously like us at Adonis, we do the full from start to finish. So we understand everything to do with your business. We're targeting the right people. We're, doing the right things, blah, 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 blah. But when you go to like a lead generation company to get your leads, their sole focus is to generate you as much leads as possible. They don't care whether they're highly qualified or not. They just care that, their promise is over 30 leads per month or whatever it may be. And that's the problem, is because that's actually going to end up like the company. It's not their fault, because what they've been told is you need to go get a marketing agency or you need to go do lead gen. So the first thing they do is they go find somebody that specializes in lead gen. They get them to get them leads. The leads end up absolutely horrible because their sole focus is just getting as many leads as possible.
That's right.
And then the company just ends up wasting so much time on people that don't care, tire kickers that, aren't ready to buy. Whereas if that company may have gotten less leads, which, may have got, say, 20, but 18 of them actually converted and they were ready to buy, ready to go, that's saving time, saving money, making life a whole lot easier.
Yeah, that's how you want it. That's why you want to define your ICP and target high intent buyers. But I mean, lead gen companies are paid on generally per lead basis. In fact, I was actually speaking to a friend who lives down the road from us, and she was telling us that this lead gen company, they weren't actually generating leads. What they were doing was, it was something like contact acquisition, something I've never heard of before. But basically what they're doing is they're doing outbound DMs on LinkedIn, and to try and make contact with people within their target industry. I mean, I'm not entirely sure how that strategy looks, but certainly I know that even if they got a response whereby that response from one of the targeted leads or one of the targeted prospects was, this doesn't fit my company because maybe they've only got 2 people in it or whatever, that's still being counted as a lead. So they're paying for that.
So they're not even paying for leads, they're paying for contacts.
Well, it's just madness.
Fee.
That's right, madness. Yeah, but that monthly fee is about $12,000 a month. So over I think it's about
Just a waste of money.
$150K contract, yeah, just to generate contacts. Whereas the other side of the coin, what we do is we set up that foundation, making sure that the ICP is fully optimized for the offer that our clients are offering. I suppose the buyer personas within those ICPs are all set up, and the messaging set properly, the position set properly. All these things that a lot of business, that I know that a lot of B2B businesses tend to not do as much because they're seen as not revenue generating. It is revenue generating. They just need to look at it as an investment to the business for the future revenue growth of the business, because everything else then slips into the strategy and everything else after that, So it's not just about generating leads. I mean, people that tend to generate leads are, in my personal opinion, are generally struggling and they need money in the door right now, rather than taking that long-term approach. And if you're always that kind of company where all you do is generate leads, the chances are you're not nurturing them after the sale, that you've maybe not qualified them properly, so that they end up then being nightmare clients, and it's just a whole host of different headaches,
Which, to our last episode, which was about churn, leads to higher churn rates because they're not qualified, they don't need your services, or they don't see value in it. Whereas the more precise that your audience is, the higher the revenue impact that you can make.
100%.
Yeah.
And the thing is, well, like within B2B organizations, you'll find that marketing and sales are generally treated as separate functions. Marketing generates leads and sales closes their leads, but in reality, they need to be operating as a revenue team, with and working with a revenue system which we help build and install and operate. But I mean, some of the problems that kind of solves is, the market generates leads, the sales inherits the pipeline, and just what I was just saying there. But neither of them owns revenue. So at the end of the quarter, it's like, well, we never met the revenue goals. So what happens is sales then blames marketing because marketing sending through non-qualified leads to sales, who are finding it then difficult to convert them because they're not fully aligned with the offer. They're not fully qualified, and that creates friction between the teams, which makes things even worse. You know, sales complains about the lead quality, marketing complains about conversion rates. You know, but when marketing and sales operate separately, revenue just becomes completely unpredictable, and that's what a lot of B2B companies need to really start thinking about and consider. About realigning your marketing and sales team as a revenue team and implement a revenue system which should help not just the business drive revenue in the long term, but help the teams within it work in a more integrated, strategic manner.
And I'll tell you, we had a client that was doing 1.5, 1.6 mil a year. We implemented the revenue system and, brought everything together. And then he was doing 3 million in 9 months. Sorry. So it works.
It definitely works.
And that's what's going to actually get you to scale your business.
That's right. And I mean that our revenue system is obviously is a proprietary system. We come and we review everything in the business in terms of operations, tools that they're using, how do you do marketing, who are your ideal customers. Now we go through a whole host of different things, and then everything gets realigned, and everyone else gets realigned with it. And everybody just becomes happier. People have more time to do good quality work. Because we have AI and AI agents as well within our system actually executing as well, it means that it frees up time for the team to work on more higher value clients and higher value tasks. It just makes life a whole lot easier, and certainly from the CEO's perspective, life is just so much better.
Now, I want the listeners to just take a second, because if your marketing isn't producing more revenue, the answer usually isn't more campaigns. It's better alignment, and alignment between your customer success, your marketing, sales, and technology. Everything needs to be aligned with that. And that's what's really going to help you get past that, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million, get to that, where you're a millionaire or multi-millionaire, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, although, money might not drive everyone, at the end of the day, that's why we're in business, and, we want to leave a legacy and this kind of stuff. But there's so many other good things that comes from aligning the different functions in the business. And when we start to talk about positioning, if you've got a revenue focused positioning, marketing just works better. Right, because positioning is generally clear, and a lot of the companies then answer, who is this for? What problem does it solve? Why is it better than the alternatives that's out there? And without that clear positioning, marketing messages become then generic, because we don't know who this is for. We don't know what problem it solves. The buyers struggle to understand the value, and sales cycles become longer and longer and longer, and then you essentially have less sales coming, less sales converting, because things just aren't aligned and positioned properly.
Yeah.
And I mean, from that, you need to consider that marketing itself should support the prospect's buying journey. Because every customer in any business goes through their own buying journey. It's not a linear thing where they all come through.
And it should be the flywheel. The flywheel where, you're bringing them in at the top of funnel, and then taking them through that buying process, and then they become advocates and they do the work for you. They, shout at the top of the hills about how good your business is and how great of an experience they had.
That's right. I mean, the thing is, most buyers generally work through some stages, right? So basically, there's a point where they don't even know they've got a problem. Right, and then so they don't even see your solution as something that they need, and then they become aware that they do have a problem, which is generally the first stage, which is awareness, and then what basically starts to happen then is they start to look for a solution to their problem. Once they start to look for solutions to their problem, they then, because generally there'll be more than one solution available to them, but some might fit better than others. So then they go to The next stage, which is generally the consideration stage, so there's considering your solution versus your competitors, and then the next stage is, right, okay, well, we need to make a decision here. So they move to the next stage, which is the valuation. So which is actually going to be a better fit now versus maybe later or more long term, etc., whatever that valuation is to them. And then to get to that final stage, which is decision. And marketing must support every single stage, and this is why a lot of B2B companies need to have things like white papers and downloadable PDFs and this kind of stuff. Although my personal opinion is, if someone, like, I hate downloading PDFs. I don't. If I download stuff, I tend not to read it. So, but what you can do, and this is what I would recommend, is you actually create, and this can either be available for free, or it can be gated if you want to collect them from information. We tend to do everything for free because at the end of the day, we want to educate our customers as much as we possibly can, so that by the time they get to our sales team, that decision's already been made, and they just want to know when to start.
But what you can do when you're posting those free stuff is, they have to put in their first name, last name, email address, so that you're sending it via email, and you're also capturing their email so that you can start nurturing them via email.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, that's generally the way that things have always worked, since probably HubSpot started talking about doing this kind of stuff. The problem with that is, I think nowadays where we tend to be inundated with 1,000 billion emails, and people just don't have the time to, and I'm the same. I don't have the time to read emails all the time. So, I would tend to do a lot of things on a lot of research on my own, and even things like in B2B SaaS, where they're offering, demos, and they want to take you through the demo themselves. They do I don't want to do that. What I want to do is I want to get an on-demand demo so I can see it. I can see how things are. I'm a technical person anyway, so I can see how things fit together. Some other people might need to be handheld and taken through that, but that's something that you can offer at the end of a self-led demo, if you like, where you can organise a live demo, if you like, and that way that they know what the system does. The intent is a lot higher, and the chances of you converting that prospect after the live demo, because of what they're probably going to want to ask you is questions, which you're maybe not answering in your fact section, which you should be doing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, in B2B markets, trust determines this buying decisions, right? Buyers want to work with companies that demonstrate their expertise, their credibility, their results. And this is why authority-based market works. And this is another reason why Google EEAT content is absolutely essential for any B2B company out there. So if anybody's telling you need to stop doing blogs because AI, listen, that's a lot of crap. What you need to start doing is writing of expertise, credible EEAT content, not for humans as much as it is for AI, because AI is doing exactly what search engines are doing. They're going to the websites, they're actually crawling search results, getting the top 10 possible results for those particular search terms based on what you've asked AI, and then it's filtering out the best possible answers. So you need to be writing content, not just for the user, but for other search engines like AI and answer engines and that kind of stuff. But the thing is, this stuff works. This is the stuff that puts you, like, if you're creating all this content and your customer, your competitors aren't, because they've got the view that we didn't need to do that, we can just do video, or we can just listen. I'm telling you, you're not going to be as credible as you'll be more credible than your competitors. You need to be writing content. That's the bottom line. And examples of that is things like thought leadership, which is a big one, especially on LinkedIn. Podcasts like what we're talking about now. I know the podcast works because most of our clients that have came to us found us through the podcast, and they love what we talk about, and they love our thinking. Yeah, definitely. And you've got other things like case studies and industry insights and reports and white papers and all this kind of stuff. At the end of the day, people don't buy from the loudest company that's out there. They buy from people that they can trust.
And the thing, like you said, with AI, like, a lot, like, I think all the leads that we've had this year, it's been people that have searched AI or asked ChatGPT, I need a partner that's gonna help us grow, not just a marketing agency. And we're getting recommended first every single time, which has brought those leads to us, which is great. But this is because we've been posting so many blog articles, podcasts, social media posts. Like, this isn't just based off, oh yeah, let me just pop a website up and that's all I need to have there. It needs to be so intentional. Hormozi posts 450 pieces of content a week, whether that's on his website, on social media, and obviously it's all, you have to repurpose all the content into different formats because people will take things in differently. But, you need to be doing as much content as possible. You need to be showing that you are a leader, you're an authoritative person in your industry.
100%. And at the end of the day, all that marketing that you're generating and creating should support the revenue at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
that's where most B2B companies should be about. And the whole team needs to be aligned on that as well. We're not just here to do a little bit of marketing and a little bit of sales. We're here to drive revenue for the business, and that's the bottom line. And the most effective B2B marketing teams measure things like pipeline contribution, sales velocity, deal quality, revenue generated. It's not just about like impressions and clicks and downloads and all that lower level stuff, which is important because we need to understand that stuff's working. But at the end of the day, marketing needs to be responsible for revenue influence, not just the activity that they're carrying out.
Yeah. And that's the thing, when you're growing your business and you actually want to scale your business, you need to step back and look at everything from a holistic approach, from a outside the bubble approach. If you fixate on a single campaign and go, oh, it's only generated me 30 leads when it should, I should be generating more than that. Well, while you might be generating those 30, 40 leads, you're only converting 5 of those. It's not a lead problem you have there. It's a conversion problem. So then now you need to fix your sales.
That's right. That's exactly why they need a revenue marketing framework where companies looking to improve marketing performance should focus on, say, the following. I can probably think of 5. There might be more. The first one, and this is probably one of the most important, which we talk about pretty much in every podcast we talk about, is clear positioning. You need to understand where you're positioned in the market. If you are a marketing agency, where exactly are you positioned in that sea of sameness of every other marketing agency out there that do ads?
Yeah.
You need to understand and have a well-defined ideal customer profile and buyer personas which support that customer profile, so that when you're writing content and messaging, it's completely aligned with the people that you're trying to target.
And if you want to learn how to create your own ICP and buyer personas, I'll link our podcast down below so that you can listen to that as well.
100%. Marketing itself needs to be aligned with the buyer journey. So you've got the awareness and the different stages that we talked about earlier. You need to have strong authority signals. So that means that you need to be writing things like EEAT content. You need to be doing podcasts. You need to be writing on LinkedIn. You need to be doing thought leadership on LinkedIn. Share it on Facebook. Share it on all these other social media where your prospects could be hanging out. And you must. This is a non-negotiable. Marketing and sales need to be completely aligned. And when these 5 elements work together, marketing, not even just marketing, the actual whole system then becomes what we would like to call a revenue engine. So that what we've done over the last 24 years is we've perfected our own process, which is our trademarked Metamorph IQ, which what we do is when we go in, we actually build out and provide a strategy for driving revenue growth. And then that's supported by our trademarked Metamorph OS execution platform, which actually does a lot of the execution for you. So whether you've got even if you've got a one person market and sales team, listen, we can help you. We can help you and implement a revenue system into your business, and you'll have that revenue engine consistently helping you drive long-term consistent revenue.
Yeah. Marketing isn't supposed to just be generating more activity or giving your team more things to do. It's supposed to be generating customers and increasing your revenue and scaling your business. And the companies that end up growing the fastest, they aren't doing more marketing or doing more campaigns or doing more tactics. They're doing better marketing that's aligned with their revenue goals, where they want to be in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. This is a long-term game, and growing a business is a long-term game. And if you want to eventually exit that business, you need to think
Long term.
yeah.
You need to think long term. And really, the way that we work, Clues, is, we set that if someone's wanting to exit, say in 5 years, we start for the 5 year point, that's the exit point, and then we work back and we plan, in order for to get from where you are now to where you want to be, we need to plan that whole time. And while, things change and with that plan, you still need to have the map, written out, the blueprint for that success.
Yeah. So if you found this conversation valuable, make sure that you subscribe to the Adonis Effect on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this now. And if you're serious about building scalable revenue systems in your B2B business, follow Adonis Media on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook for more insights. We post stuff like this every single week, every single day. We do blog articles. You can check all of our stuff out and learn more about how to generate more revenue for your business. So, next week on the Adonis Effect, we're talking about why most businesses can't be sold and what you need to build if you ever want a real exit. That's a really exciting one.
Yeah, looking forward to that one as well.
Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.